Hey, Miss Peaches.
Hey, Miss Regina.
How are you?
I'm good today. Excited because...
Are you going to ask me how I am?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm like getting on to the point. How are you today, Regina?
I'm good. You know why I'm good?
Why are you good?
Because we are on episode 5 of Two Sisters Knittin Talkin Shit. There it is. We're back. Episode 5.
Episode 5. Cinco, and we're excited to welcome all the knit shits back.
Yes, we got knit shits now.
And future knit shits.
Yes.
The knit shits is what we call our subscribers.
Yeah.
And so if you hit that subscribe button, you can be a knit shit too.
And we know you want to be, so come on, hit that subscribe button and join the fun, the knit shit fun.
The knit shit fun.
Yes. All right.
And we've got an exciting episode planned for you all today. I'll do a quick run through of the agenda.
Yeah.
And then I guess we'll get with it.
Yeah.
So, as usual, we've got a drink of the episode. Regina is our bartender. Mixologist. Thank you so much. I knew there was a proper term.
Yes.
And it was not coming up.
That's what I'm here for.
I know, in my mind. So Regina's our mixologist, and she's going to tell you about our cocktail for the episode.
Yes.
Then we are going to, because we live in Atlanta, and tomorrow is Martin Luther King's holiday celebration. So we'll share a quote or two of his that are our favorites.
Yeah.
And maybe talk a little bit about what it's like growing up in Atlanta and living in Atlanta, the home of Dr. King.
Yeah, in fact, this is the Freedom episode.
We
call this the Freedom episode.
The Freedom episode.
Actually, all of our episodes are freedom, but
yes,
this will be a special freedom.
This will be a special freedom in honor of Dr. King.
Dr. Martin Luther King.
Mm-hmm. And then we're going to talk about what's on and off of our needles and any acquisitions that we've made since episode 4. Then we've got some shout outs.
Yeah.
That we want to make, some IG shout outs and some YouTube knit shit shout outs that we want to make. And then maybe a little bit about either something that we're reading or listening to. And then we want to talk about what the knit shits are doing because y'all have been busy in the comments section. So we're going to talk about what some of you are doing. And as always, we've got a closing question for you because this is a community that we're building and we like for you all to participate. So we've got a closing question and then a wrap.
Yeah, welcome back. We're going to talk about what we're drinking today. And
what are we drinking? Because I haven't even tasted it.
Well, so I have mixed... Well, first of all, let me just, again, last episode, we honored the folks who are observing a dry January.
Yes.
And I heard a colleague of mine say she was doing dry and then it became damp.
I like that.
And now I was like, well, isn't damp like wet?
Yes.
So yes, if you're observing that, then we completely continue to encourage you to do that. But we are having a very wet drink and it's cold and chilly here and this could be served warm, but we have it over ice. So this is a Mozart dark chocolate liqueur served over ice or on the rocks with a little almond milk creamer.
Okay.
And what is setting this thing off?
The kicker is
cayenne pepper. So let me take my stirrer out.
Yeah.
And let's toast to episode 5. Freedom episode.
Freedom.
Do you feel how that cayenne finishes at the back of the throat?
I do. It's
Isn't
kicking
that
in
kicking
now.
in? Ain't it something?
It's good.
I love it. Let's do one more.
Cheers.
Yummy.
Delicious.
That's our drink for the episode. Ain't no real, I don't know how much of either thing I did. I just poured over ice Oh yeah, that looks about right.
So, you know, that's old school.
We don't measure nothing.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
And it goes all by look. Okay,
Right.
that looks about right. Oh, that don't look right there. This looks right.
Yes.
And if it looks right, it's going to taste right.
And so
there it is.
yeah, and somebody asked on the last episode if we could share what was in the glasses. And so we do try to include that in the show notes. So
yes,
if you want to taste it, and we encourage you to, if you partake in alcoholic beverages,
yes,
we encourage you to, and we'd love to hear what you think about the episode cocktail.
we would. And you know what? If you don't want this, and again, if you're dry all the time, then get your San Pellegrino on ice with a little squeeze of lime. Nothing more refreshing.
Yes, sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Can we do one more?
We
cheers?
sure
'Cause
can.
This is delicious.
Isn't it
really.
delicious? Do you love it?
I love it.
No, we have not been drinking before the show.
And do not spit on the yarn, Regina, because I almost did.
And
we
there's
don't want
plenty of
that.
yarn
There's
here
plenty of
to
yarn
spit
here
on, so
the
we will not be
table.
spitting on the yarn. But then again, we're 60 and who cares?
Right.
But we yarn snobs too, so
Right.
we ain't trying to
so
spit.
we're not trying to spit and mess up the yarn
Right.
either. So
Okay, so there it is. All right. So we're here in Atlanta, the birthplace of Martin Luther King Jr. And he obviously holds a very special place for us and really all Atlantans, particularly native Atlantans. And the SCLC offices, which were the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, those offices were here in Atlanta. And Atlanta,
And, you know, and they used to meet at Pascal's
yes, they
restaurant.
did. Yes, they did.
My aunt Tommy, worked as a waitress
Wow.
at Pascal's.
Wow.
And used to serve Dr. King,
Ralph Abernathy, Andy Young, the whole group. That's wonderful. Well, the SCLC offices were here in Atlanta, and you know, Atlanta really became, I think, due to all of the historically Black colleges in the area, it really was known as we weren't a protest city. We were an activist city, though.
Yes.
We were an activist city.
Yes.
So we honor Martin Luther King. The observance of his birthday is tomorrow, and thought we would share a couple of quotes. And my favorite quote is from his Selma to Montgomery march, which would have taken place or finally completed on March 21st, 1965. So 60 years ago in March was the culmination of a month of Bloody Sunday, which was March 7th, which was when John Lewis was hit, and many of the other protesters were arrested trying to cross the Edmund Pettus Bridge.
And let me ask you, have you ever been to the bridge and seen the
I
bridge?
have not.
So a few years ago, I had a friend visiting from California, and we had driven down with my niece to, she was a college student at Spelman at the time, so we drove down to see Brian Stevenson's Equal Justice, the Legacy Museum.
And is that in Montgomery?
It's in Montgomery, yes.
Okay.
And learn that Selma was only about a 40-minute car ride from there. So we rode down, and I'll look and see if I have pictures from that day that are pretty decent, and if so, I'll put them in, I'll post them up here in the screen, and you'll see them flashing across the screen now. But I was really surprised how short
the crossing is.
the bridge is. I mean, it's not even a block, maybe a block and a half-ish, maybe.
Now, were you all there when they did the big I mean, it was.
We weren't there for the big march or
Yeah.
anything like that. We had gone down specifically for that. So this was after that big anniversary march, which I think was the 50th celebration.
So can you believe that was 2015? That would have been 10 years ago. I mean, it's shocking. I was thinking it was
like yesterday.
Right. But so then I guess Obama was president when that happened. So stunning. So anyway, but you were saying.
Yeah, and I was just surprised at how small the bridge is, and I felt like I was stepping back in time, because at least that part of the town doesn't seem to have changed much in terms of the buildings and so forth. So it's a great place to visit if you're ever in the area. The Edmund Pettus Bridge, to walk across the bridge yourself, but also to visit Bryan Stevenson's museum and the Peace and Justice Memorial, which memorializes the terror lynchings in the United States as well. So I just wanted to add that.
It's so close. I need to get there and see it, take my mom and see it. Of course, you know, my mom and your mom, being a native Atlantan, lived through so much of that.
Yes.
And though the bridge may be short, it looms large in our collective memory, which is why we're kind of talking about it today. And my favorite quote from Dr. Martin Luther King is just an excerpt from the very famous speech that he made at the end of that march when they made it finally to Montgomery. And he says, "How long? Not long, because truth pressed to earth will rise again. How long? Not long, because no lie can live forever. How long? Not long, because the arc of a moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." That is my favorite excerpt from that speech. So check it out. You can go to you can Google it.
Yeah.
It's all over YouTube. And of course, if you're ever in the Atlanta area, do yourself a favor and check out the King Center.
Yes.
Check out the Civil Rights Center.
Yes.
Check out the
King Birthplace.
The King Birthplace, which is a national park, part of the National Park Service.
The Auburn Avenue Library.
Sweet Auburn Avenue Library.
Yeah, lots of historical information there, but also lots of information about family genealogy and lineage too.
And as a real native, I know that I'm sure there's a lot there that speaks to you. I mean, I remember when King was assassinated, we were living in Vine City, and the processional marched right down Fair Street, which is on the campuses of the Atlanta University Center. And so that was the other thing I was going to say. If you're ever here, come check out the historically Black colleges that make up the Atlanta University or Clark Atlanta University Center.
Right, because you've got Clark.
You got Spelman.
Clark Atlanta University, you've got Spelman.
Morehouse.
Morris
Brown.
The
and
Interdenominational
ITC.
Theological Center.
ITC.
Yeah, so very rich history here.
Very rich history. So make sure you see all of that. And if you fly here and come through the international terminal, you will see some King memorabilia. You will see some artifacts from the King Center. So there's just such a rich history that we love to observe and love to talk about because it's deep within us. So you can't be from Atlanta and not really appreciate how we shaped a movement.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks for that share, Regina.
You're welcome.
And you know, I did want to add, I don't remember King's death, like personally. I don't have any personal memories of it, but I do know. So my parents at the time were living in West Virginia, or they might have been in Hampton, Virginia by this time. Anyway, my father came, and I just remember him telling me the stories of the funeral, and so forth, and how moving that was, and the crowds, and just how solemn the occasion was as well.
Yeah, I remember. I have snatches of memories, but I very vividly recall and have pictures of my mother being dressed, you know, standing in all of that mass humanity to say farewell to Martin Luther King. So I remember that well.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's a real possession.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful memory. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Okay.
So the next thing that we wanted to share with you all is what's on and off of our needles and any acquisitions and what we're wearing if we choose. I mean, you all have seen this before. I know that you don't have one yet. I throw you every time I say what we're wearing, but when I was looking at my reflection in the camera, I saw my shawl, and that brought to memory what we were wearing. So
it's quite okay because I did not make this, so I ain't gonna talk about it. So go ahead.
So I've shown this before.
Go ahead and brag.
And I won't I won't take it off and show it in all its glory, because you can go back to episode number 1 and revisit this. But this is the Sylph by Natasha Hornby. And someone had asked us once what was the most difficult thing that we had knit to date. And I would say that this is probably the most difficult that I've knit, because it's got blossoms and loops.
Yeah.
And maybe I will take it off to show a little bit closer to the folks up in the screen, get you a little bit closer. But it's got all this fancy, intricate detail in the end.
I see some yarn overs. I see some bobbles.
Some bobbles, some loops. She calls them loops to make leaves and so forth. So all of the details of this are in episode 1, but I'll also include it in the show notes as well today for those of you who are interested.
And we're making one. We've shown
that. Yep. That was episode 1 too.
Was that episode 1? Yeah, I guess it was.
No, episode 2. One of those episodes.
Right.
1 or 2.
Oh, it was episode 2 because I have like 3 rows.
Yes.
And you were shading,
and I had a
as
little
she
bit
always
more.
does. Yes, you were throwing shade.
Yes, so we need to actually get back.
We
to
really
that.
do. We really do.
Because we've not made any progress since we showed you that. So anyway, that's what I'm wearing.
Right.
Do you want me to do kind of finish what I finished? Okay. So I showed you all the beginnings of this.
Because I haven't finished anything.
And it looks like, because everything that I have today on this table is blue and various shades of blue. But this is for my sister-in-law. I just finished it yesterday. This is the traveler hat, Andrea Mowry. I would try it on for you guys, but it is wet and it was drying on the balcony, and I don't want to try on a sopping wet hat. But anyway, that's my finish.
Did you hold this double?
No.
Okay.
It's made out of worsted weight yarn.
Okay.
So it's a little bit thicker.
Okay.
Than what you're working with.
Okay.
On your what you're working on. What's on your needles.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what's off my needles. This is my first completed project for 2025. So I'm patting myself on the back.
Okay. So you got stuff off your needles. I don't.
Listen, and don't be jealous.
I'm not.
And don't hate.
I ain't hating.
Okay. So.
I don't do that.
Okay.
I don't hate. Shade.
Yeah. You hear that?
Yeah.
So what's on your needles?
Oh, I got a bunch of stuff on my needles. So I showed this last week. This is that open air that I am obsessing over, and you can see how far I've gotten. One day I'll complete it, but you can see how beautiful it is and how wonderful it's going. Once I wet
and
lock
we've got
this,
a couple of
it's gonna look
subscribers
great.
who are making
Yes, a couple of people have seen it because it looks lacy and it looks complicated and it's so easy.
And I said subscribers. I meant to say you got a couple of knit shits.
That's right, knit shits. That's right, knit shits. So that is on my needles. I brought a couple of things. I remember I said I have 50 things on my needles. So this is something that I started over a year ago. This is
Has it been a year?
Yes.
I don't think so, Regina.
Well, I looked at the receipt when I don't know. It's been almost a year, if it hasn't been a year.
Okay.
I looked at the receipt today because I wanted to see exactly what this second yarn was. But you can see this is the Pearl Soho Simplicity scarf. Not sure if you can really see that. It's a very simple scarf. It's a long scarf with like beveled edges. And so the yarn that I'm using, I'm holding double. And so I'm using the Echo yarn, which is their recycled cashmere yarn. And I'm using that. The colorway is orange and orange Pico, in fact. And then I'm holding it double with, let me just take it out and show you. It's a lovely
mohair.
It's a lovely mohair that looks like that. So it's a burgundy color with little flecks of purple and a little bit of blue and gray hue, so it's really beautiful. And this yarn is Manos del Uruguay Cabrito.
All right.
Are you loving my Spanish?
I am.
Yes, ma'am. And the colorway is Autumn. So that is my simplicity scarf that I've been working on for well over 9 months, and I gotta get it done. So there's that. And then the other project, I don't think I showed this during a previous episode, but
I don't think so.
yeah, this is,
and I don't know, have I seen this? I don't know if I've even seen
you haven't seen my daily, is this the daily scarf? This is the daily scarf.
Okay.
So this is the daily scarf, Pearl Soho daily scarf. And this is a luscious wool. You can see the ribbing at the bottom. It's like I think a 1x1.
A 1x1.
Maybe a 1x1.
Looks like.
But this yarn is Signet yarn in slate gray. I'll have to double check the color, but it is luscious. And I've been working on this for quite a few months.
Heavenly. It's
Isn't
so
it
soft.
heavenly?
Ah,
I've been working on this for a couple
great.
months. You know, I wanted to say, so I have several acquisitions, but I just wanted to, I'm obsessing over linen quills.
Yes.
So I got some more linen quills. I already had this, but I'm just showing you, I have quite a few cakes of the linen quill in fresh pickle. Not sure what I'm gonna make with those, but I just love it. And one other thing, what was the yarn? It was a yarn. Oh, I got one more to show you. I have so much to say. Here's another project. This is going to be the Timeless Cowl. And it is, I don't know why I thought this was knitted in the round, but you know what? No, you stitch the ends together at completion. But this is a very simple pattern. The yarn is Pearl Soho's Camel, which is a lovely, very, very soft yarn. So I brought that just to show how much I have on needles. I didn't say the size of the needles of any of these projects.
That's okay.
But we can put it in the show notes. Yeah. I wanted to say though, get thee to Pearl Soho. They have a yarn sale. So,
yes, but it's probably ending. It may be over by the time we post the video.
Well, that's true. But
they always are having yarn sales.
That's true.
And as you all can tell in all of these videos, Pearl Soho is one of our favorite online yarn purveyors.
Yes, yarn merchants. Yes, we love Pearl Soho. So that's just a few more of the things that I have on needles.
Well, I showed a few of my open projects last week. I'm just starting another one, and I just cast on for it today.
Oh, boy.
So not very much to show.
Have I seen this?
And you have not seen this, but I think what I have is shiny object syndrome. Are you familiar with what that is?
I am, and I suffer from it too.
So,
but we're 60 and we don't care.
That's right. So something like a yarn sale flashes or whatnot. And I'm like, oh, I would love to make the blah, 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 whatever it is.
Well, the only cure is to buy it.
And then I buy it, and then I start on that other thing, and then I see more yarn go on sale, and I'm like, ooh, I'd like that. And then I don't finish because I got shiny object syndrome.
That's okay. You know what? Let's drink to that.
So we're going to drink to that shiny object syndrome.
Shiny object syndrome. I
Delicious.
love my shiny objects too, so it's okay.
So I was choosing between two projects. Julie Hoover is a designer that I really, really like, and I will link her information in the show notes as well. But I was choosing and trying to decide between the Collins sweater, which is really just like a sweatshirt, casual, comfortable, everyday kind of a sweatshirt that you can wear, or her Colvin DK. And I'm gonna end up making them both because I have yarn to cast on.
You've got plenty of yarn.
Both. I got plenty of yarn. But I think the one that I have cast on for this morning is the Collins, which I'll link below, and more Pearl Soho yarn. And we are not sponsored.
We
nor
are
do
not.
We work for them
Right.
or anything like that. We just like
We
their
just
wool,
buy.
and we like their sales when they have a sale, because they do have good sales.
Yeah,
but the color of
they
this
do.
yarn that's going to be my Collins is called Freshwater Blue.
I love it.
So,
Love it. Love it. Love it.
and I knit for so many other people. I'm usually giving stuff away, and rarely do I knit
For
and
yourself.
keep stuff for myself. So I'm going to be a little bit selfish in these next few months so I can knit some stuff for myself, because guess what? I'm deserving
You are.
of it.
Make
So,
some of your own stuff and wear it. You know what? Let's drink to that.
let's drink to that.
Yes. Make stuff for yourself.
For yourself.
You know what? One thing I wanted to share. So in our last episode, I shared that my new shiny object acquisition was a Swift and a ball winder. Although I think I said ball spinner or something
spinner or
crazy.
something.
Ball winder.
But
And
the knit shits knew what
they
you were
knew what I was
about.
talking about. But listen, what I have learned now that I have my own Swift and ball winder, now I know why at the yarn shops, when you want them when you want them to wind your yarn, they kind of look at you sideways, like, like, okay.
We'll wind one or two.
Like, right. I might
for
walk
you.
out of there with 10 skeins and they only wind in 2. And I would look at them like, what? I just bought all this yarn. Why you not winding? Now I know. Because, well, actually, I've gotten used to it and I kind of enjoy it now.
Yeah.
But my arm is tired from cranking all
But
that
it's good
day.
exercise.
Whatever.
Because I wound 5 skeins yesterday, and I was like, Mom.
And you feel like you got a cardio
I was
workout?
like, Mom, do you want to wind some of this yarn for me? I'm tired, and I don't have it situated in the right place.
Right.
So I'm bending over, my lower back is
Ooh,
tired.
ooh.
I'm like, ugh. But it was good for your, it's good for your biceps.
I guess, but I'm just saying, I know why they look at you sideways and have these restrictions on what they gonna whine for you, because it is no joke.
It is no joke.
It's no joke, but I just had to share that.
Well, thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
And so a few episodes back, one of the knit shits asked us if we read at all. And of course, we read.
Like we're gonna say, no, we don't read.
So I thought that I would bring 2 of the things that are currently open on my night table.
Yes.
So the first book is a book by a mentor of mine, and I do volunteer work for her. And it has not come out, but it is coming out. It will be available for purchase February the 4th. But it is a book by Loretta Ross, who is a professor at Smith, but she's an icon in women's studies and in the Civil Rights Museum, not Civil Rights Museum, but in the Civil Rights movement. She's just done some wonderful work. And so I actually need to give this book back to her because this is one of her galley copies. But it's called Calling In, How to Start Making Change with Those You'd Rather Cancel by Loretta Ross. And it's really good, and I would encourage folks to pick it up if you're interested in that type of work and social justice work. So that's Calling In, How to Start Making Change with Those You'd Rather Cancel by Loretta Ross. And this one I've not started. I know a few years ago it was one of Oprah's book club readings, and I've heard great things about it. So I picked it up. I was talking to one of my nieces, and she's got a book club with some of her friends up in New York, and they just finished this a few months ago. But it's Homegoing by
Jassy? I think that's how you say it.
Jassy. And so this will get open probably tonight on my night table.
I think she's a Ghanaian writer. Isn't she Ghanaian? I think so.
Is she Ghanaian? Yes, she's from Ghana. So anyway, this is the other thing that I'm going to be reading very, very soon.
So I'm reading a lot too. I just don't have any. Yes, I am quite sure, just like I have a lot of works in progress, I have a lot of books that I'm reading. In fact, Homecoming is one of them. I have Homegoing. I have 2 copies of that. So I purchased it when it was on Oprah's reading list, and then a friend of mine, I purchased the hardback cover, and then a friend of mine gave me the soft cover. So I have 2 copies of it. Right? I will only read one of them.
Yes.
But that's on my list. I started it, and going back to the initial question I mentioned in that episode where we talked about the person who asked that question or brought it up. I mentioned I like a lot of crime fiction, so I have not completed the full Easy Rollins catalog, but I have them all. He also had another sleuth, Fearless Jones. I think I've read all of the Fearless Jones novels, and then he has another sleuth out of New York. Those other 2 sleuths, different as they are out of Los Angeles, and then his other sleuth is out of New York, Leonid McGill. I have several of those books and have started them, and I like fiction and nonfiction. Okay. So, like I said, just like I have a lot of works in progress and works on needles, I can't complete a book. Yeah. There are a lot of books I'm reading, but I wanted to kind of talk about what I'm listening to right now.
Well, tell us what is in your ear.
What is in my ear?
Or ears.
Oh my God, we got 2. Yes. And the same thing is in both of them.
Yes.
So there was a recording. I cannot believe that this recording is 25 years old this year, but it's called Tanto Tempo. It's by Bebel Gilberto. It's a Brazilian samba, and it is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful recording. It's something you want to listen to while you're cooking, while you're knitting, while you're driving.
Does it make you want to dance?
It does. It kind of makes you want to sway more than dance. Okay. But there are some up-tempo songs on the recording too. But it's just a beautiful collection. And Bebel Gilberto, by the way, her father was João Gilberto, who is one half of Gilberto Gets Gilberto, which was the 1965 bossa nova recording that won the Grammy for, I think, Album of the Year, if I'm not mistaken. I remember growing up listening to it because my father loved samba and bossa nova. It's really bossa nova. And João Gilberto, Bebel's father, is considered the father of bossa nova. So it would be really run and to your nearest Spotify or what's the other one? Or streaming download, whatever. However it is you get your music. Check out Tanto Tempo. It's beautiful.
I love it. Yeah. I'm gonna have to check it out because I've not heard it. Can you samba? Just curious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you hear how what you think? Oh, I can samba. Yes. Okay. If you know what, if we weren't at, the timestamp that we are, I would do something for you, but no, I'm not. Not this episode. Not this episode.
Well, we might have to make some time in a future episode so you all can see Regina's samba.
That will be fun. The other thing I want to mention too is what is always locked in my I'm still listening to an iPod, right? What I'm always listening to is I'm a R&B purist, so I'm always listening to 70s R&B. So I was listening to Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, Earth, Wind and Fire, the Isley Brothers, a little Aretha in there, some Emotions, always playing somewhere around me. So I love my music.
Well, that sounds good. I've been watching a lot of reaction videos on YouTube. This isn't the 70s, but this is Luther Vandross.
Yeah.
And when he's saying a house is not a home at the NAACP tribute.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello, bye, baby. Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
Oh my gosh. gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous,
Yeah,
gorgeous.
yeah.
Because it was a tribute to Dionne Warwick,
Yes.
who originally sang the song in the 60s.
Yes.
Written by Baccarat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been watching that, and your talk of that just brought all of that to memory. So thank you for that.
And that is a great documentary, the Luther Vandross documentary
gosh.
on
Yes,
CNN. Never Too Much, which was one of my favorite songs from when I was in high school. That song was out.
Yes.
And you could catch me walking down the halls of my high school. I can't feel myself, I don't want nobody else to ever love me. You're at the top of my list, cause I'm always thinking of you. I think I got the words wrong, but anyway, that's what it was. That's what it was.
And the people don't want me to sing, so I'm not even gonna try.
You won't even try, but there it is.
Okay, well, good.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. I've got some folks to listen to.
Yeah.
So Knit Shits,
we
want to say thank you so much for all of the love you all have been showing us over these past 4 episodes.
So much love.
Soon to be 5 episodes. So much love.
So much love.
Yeah. And I wanted to shout out some of our Knit Shits over on Instagram, some who have been following us since day one, but who were kind enough to share links to our podcast on their Instagram, to their followers on Instagram. So I'm just going to read these names quickly. And Regina and I want you to know that we are so, so, so very appreciative.
Absolutely.
So Joanna Higgins, Stephanie L., Roz Bailey, Joanna, who's also known as Hot Pearl Summer, Kathy Wilson, Tony Lipsy of TL Yarn Crafts, Maya Jones, who is my nail technician.
Nail technician, yes.
And she's the owner of Buku Nails, shouted us out. Katrina Creates, Channy from Yarn and Notions LLC, LFM, who is Love Lay 3, the Grocery Girls Knit, and Tracy, who is one half of the Grocery Girls Knit, Tracy Miller, Angela Kelly, and last but certainly not least, TKW Creations, Tanya or Tangia. I wasn't sure, Tonjia. So we appreciate you. Wanted to send you some love. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we wanted to just kind of check in on the knit shits. What are y'all talking about?
What are they?
So much.
They've
so
been
much.
busy in the comments.
Been busy in the comments, and we love it. We love it. We love it. So Storm's End says regarding mistakes, because I think the question we asked was, or maybe what we were responding to, had something to do with
beginner knitters.
Right.
And what advice would we give to beginner knitters?
There it is. And so Storm's End says regarding mistakes, Arnie of Arnie and Carlos,
love them,
says that he never minds finding a mistake and having to frog because it means that he gets to enjoy more knitting on the project. That switched her or his, whoever Storm's End is, that switched their mindset. Yes, it will take a little longer, but if you love knitting, it's just more time to do what you love. So we agree wholeheartedly with that.
Absolutely. Love it.
You know who made quite a few comments, and we love her, Miss Ab Fab Mommy.
All right, Ab Fab Mommy.
She made quite a few comments.
What did she say?
What
did our knit shit Ab Fab Mommy say?
Listen, she said, I turned up the volume on my computer when you two started talking about how you became yarn snobs.
All right.
She says, I wanted her hubby to hear from someone else why good quality yarn is so important. And
so
and
we're curious.
We agree.
Did it work?
Right. Did it work? But yes, we agree. Miss Ab Fab Mommy also gave us some of her 2025 knitting goals, which is to reduce the number of works in progress.
Okay.
We hear you there.
Yeah.
She says, I have a spreadsheet with 44 plus whips.
Oh my.
I also want to knit at least 2 more sweaters this year. So we are right there
I
with
think I'm
you.
afraid to put mine in a spreadsheet.
Right? I mean, I just have a little notebook with all of mine. And remember, I said 50 levels. And so That can be 44, that can be 60,
Yes.
a lot. That's
Yes.
what it is. So that was Miss Ab Fab. She also had an additional tip for new knitters. And she says, in addition to reading your pattern, make sure you understand the structure, architecture of what you're knitting. For example, for sweaters, understand the purpose of short rows and how they should look. And another example she gives with sweaters, again, is make sure you understand the structure of the sweater, whether it's drop down, for example. And then she says she hopes that makes sense. So we love that. And there's one other knit shitter. I mean, there were many, many comments, and we'll be sharing them in other episodes. But one that caught my attention was from Maverick Mather.
Okay.
I bought some cashmere lace yarn on clearance years ago that was living in my stash. I'm now using to make the open air wrap. And it feels so good. I don't know if I can go back to other fibers for a while. So we certainly understand that. So that's a little bit of what the knit shitters are talking about.
All right. So the knit shits have been busy.
Knit shits are busy.
Shitting
and knitting.
That.
Knitting and shitting. Knit shitting.
I love it.
We love it. So we're about to wrap up, and we've got our closing question, which you've come to expect at the end of our episodes.
Yeah, as we build this community, we want you all to be active participants in the community
and engage.
Yeah,
we want to engage you.
So what's our closing question for our knit shits?
The closing question for the knit shits is, what does making do for you? So that could be what does creating, or what does creating in general, but what does knitting, what does crocheting, whatever it is that you do to make, what does that do for you?
Yeah, so answer that in the comments.
Do you want to
take a shot? I'll take a shot. So what does making do for me? I think when I'm nervous and anxious, it helps to calm me down. Making also helps me to be less...
I'm laughing, don't even know what I'm laughing at.
Less obsessive.
Now I know.
And less of a perfectionist. I don't think we'll I think I surprised Regina over these last several episodes.
Drink.
Because I can obsess and can be a perfectionist. I will share this. So episode 4 almost did not get recorded on the day that we recorded because we couldn't get our setup right. We couldn't get the camera angle right. And I was really like getting tense.
I have something to add here. So we are sharing some behind the scenes. We have shared some behind the scenes, but I live a good distance away, and I travel to where we shoot this, and I arrived and I saw the setup was different. And my first thought was, what is she doing? But I didn't say a word. I was just like, okay, she wants to change it up for a good hour. We couldn't get, like she was saying, like Peaches was saying, we couldn't, it just wasn't coming together. And we ended up right back where we normally are.
Shoot in the way that we normally shoot.
Yes.
So the knitting is teaching me, and it really is a practice, because we talked about practice. Or you said practice is your word for 2025. And so for me, this gives me the opportunity to practice being more accepting and less of a perfectionist. I don't know that I will ever not be, but I'm practicing on being less of a perfectionist, and that helps me.
Yeah.
How about you?
You know, I travel for my job a lot, and I was traveling last week, and I was had boarded my flight back to Atlanta, and sitting next to me was a younger gentleman, and we were just about to take off, and I took out my project bag and started knitting. And he goes, "Whoa, are you knitting? And I said, I am. And I had my neck ring, my little neck lamp on, and he says, that is so cool. And he was just really like absorbed in what I was doing. No, I don't believe so. I didn't ask him, but he was certainly, very intensely looking at what I was doing. And I just shared with him that it kind of relaxes me because I get a little tense when it's time to take off. And so then I had my lamp on, and he was like, oh, this isn't your first rodeo. He said, you got all the equipment? I said, oh, you don't even understand. You don't know the half. So I thought that was just a little fun story to convey. But as it relates to what making does for me, I just believe that when we're creating something with our hands, when we're making something with our hands, it enlivens the spirit.
Yeah.
As human beings, creating things, I think it's why, young children find such joy in, making a macaroni necklace, or finger painting, or it enlivens the soul. And so that's what making does for me. And I think we talked about this in an earlier episode. My twin brother was saying, get a keyboard. And I do like music, right? I do like music, but I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. But there was something that needed, there was an itch that needed to be scratched. It was a creative itch that needed to be scratched. And I have tried painting, I've tried, collage, but I don't really consider myself an artist as much as I am an art appreciator. And I, worked in the world of fine art and even traditional art. So making things, right, is something that enlivens the spirit. And I've seen how this works even with, I work with young people who are experiencing homelessness. So I have watched and seen how creating something actually puts them in a mental space that is calming, that is enlivening even for them.
Because I think it slows, the world is so fast, and we are getting information so fast. Making slows things down, so you don't have to consume as much as quickly. It's a sense of self-expression. So all kinds of mental health benefits.
All kinds of mental health benefits. Maybe on the next episode, we'll even talk about the benefit of having so many projects going at one time. There is a mental benefit to that.
Yes, there is.
That I have read about. So we'll talk about that next time. But that's the question. What does making do for you?
Absolutely.
Tell us.
We are curious to hear. And we just want to say thank you again for tuning in to episode 5 of
Two Sistahs Knittin Talkin Shit.
We hope to see you in the next episode. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.